the people of the Mohawk Nation control half the cigarette trade in eastern Canada. We sell cigarettes to non-natives without paying tax.
Made a run, got paid $1,000 and went and bought a case of cigarettes. And it just snowballed from there.
Canada calls it illegal. We call it good business.
Late 70s. Everybody lives in small houses, got gravel driveways, dirt. We're pretty much a third world country around here. Cigarettes changed all that. Got the boatmen, the boss, the runners. There isn't one family around here that's not involved one way or the other.
Here, I'll drive on the imaginary borderline. On this side, you're on the Canadian side. On this side, you're on the American side. So if you move over, you'll be on the American side.
I'm Brian White, 43 years old, Mohawk Indian.
There was a boat accident. Two boats collided in the middle of the night and dumped their load all over the place. They were too worried, probably worried about surviving. Surgeon General warning. Smoking causes lung cancer, heart disease, emphysema, and may complicate pregnancy. $3. We buy it for around there, sell it for 10. About half are still good. Don't smoke though. A lot of these guys, the boatmen, been doing this for years and years and years. They know the river, the shallow spots around, they know where the buoys are to stay away from that. Been a couple accidents. I've just got missed by one, but usually you see it coming.
Police on both sides of the border do everything they can to shut us down. Their boats are getting faster, so ours have to get faster too.
They're a menace, they're crazy. They're putting people's lives at risk.
In 2009, we seized about 975,000 cartons of contraband. If that's a small percentage, it gives you a sense of how big the issue really is.
Putting people at risk here. There was no people dying before.
It was a real black night. No moonlight, nothing. You can't see, and them guys are really flying with their boats. The one boat crashed, crossed right into him. The one boat came in, hit my buddy's son, killed him, and hit my buddy who was driving right next to him. And that was what, 3 weeks ago.
It's just a turf war over tax dollars.
The one that died, he just had a baby last year. And that's all they ever known was moving tobacco, moving cigarettes. That's all they ever did. Nobody ever believed that we'd get killed doing this. Getting too old for this shit.
Rob Dixon, 37, Kahnawake Mohawk First Nation. I was schooled at Concordia University, University of Toronto, and I made some friends from the reserves in the area.
Shit, no. Did you ask Duncan?
And a lot of them were involved in the cigarette industry.
Oh.
So I was a struggling student. I was struggling financially. I needed some extra money. I was in debt at the time, I don't know, $10,000, which at the time seemed like a lot for me. I started to bring cigarettes from Kahnawake out to the Peterborough area. It just seemed like the right place, the right time. The business began to flourish. Before I knew it, I could have been making $20,000 or $30,000 a week. Yeah. I knew that what I was doing was not sustainable in the long term. There was a lot of risks. So I saved up a lot of my money. When I had enough saved, I purchased my own factory, Rainbow Tobacco in Kahnawake.
Hey, Steve. How's everything? Good.
The tobacco industry is a major employer in the Kahnawake community. I think there's upwards of 2,000 community members involved in the tobacco industry. It enhances everything from sports and recreation to different community programs. My intention is for it to eventually supplement the federal budget that we receive.
Get out of here, Forrest, come on! God.
This year alone, we calculated what it would cost to go to national championships, and we're talking about, several thousands of dollars. So how do we get them there? It's always been the tobacco industry. They've always been there at the last minute to get us through.
What?
The government has government grants, but they're not giving it to you.
It's $100 to buy the team, $200,000 to field it for the season. We're in the whole $213,000.
We do it for the kids.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
We have so many talented designers, we have so many talented hairdressers and makeup artists, and tonight's about Native women showcasing themselves and walking on the runway. It's funded by our tobacco company.
Every business in this town, one way or another, is funded by cigarettes or started because of cigarettes. But I prefer to do carpentry because I'm good at it and I love it. But, when times are tough, the cigarettes will help. Without it, I can't build nothing because nobody has money.
They call me Queen since I was little. My Mohawk name is Janokdio. It means she has a nice bed. I have to work sometimes 17 hours a day I work. I do it a day and night. Sometimes I forget to cook. And there's my finished product. One camouflage ribbon dress on order. I actually built my house by the tobacco trade. Yeah. Me and Peter. Somebody offered us one day if we wanted to bring a carload of cigarettes. I go, how do you do that? Well, just come to my house. I'll fix it in your trunk and you drive past the bridge and go to Cornwall and go home. I'm like, really? Yeah, okay, so we did it. Got paid $1,000. You can't even get in my garage. Open the door and I got like 800 cases in there. You stockpile like a squirrel for the winter. He stockpiles everything, so all winter he could just lay around. We're smart. People may not like the cigarette trade, but it's economy. It'll bring in a lot of money and it'll bring in a lot of, they'll get off welfare. That's my basic issue, is get everybody off welfare and into a job.
We've always had great tie to the tobacco plant. It's one of the 4 sacred medicines in our culture. There's tobacco, sweetgrass, sage, and cedar. And tobacco is the most widely used in most of our ceremonies. We introduced the world to tobacco. The biggest commodity of the 16th century in Europe was the tobacco plant. European governments were funding the colonies of the New World because of the tobacco plant export. We feel we have a huge right to the tobacco plant. That's why we fight for it, and we fight for this industry. Tobacco was given to us by the Creator to help our people. And if it's going to take the tobacco leaf to bring our people out of the current economic crisis that we're in, then that's what the Creator intended us to do with it.
I'm not really comfortable with calling it organized crime, although it is very well organized. I'm not terribly comfortable with calling it the contraband economy. It's an alternative economy. And it is merely the most recent reflection of one aspect of the Mohawk economy, which has been in place since long before there was a Canada-US border to even cross. The reality is, for the most part, Aboriginal people have been purposively marginalized, and their traditional economies were deliberately undermined by the Canadian state over the history of Canada. If there was social justice for Aboriginal people wouldn't have to rely on high-stakes bingo, gambling, and so-called contraband trade in order to support their economies.
Because of the money, there's also power, you know? So the council actually tried to stop it at one time. But we had a referendum, which they say we never did. And they asked the community if they want the cigarettes or not. At the same time was when the bingo were coming up, because that was supposed to support us too. And they voted yeah to the cigarettes. And we actually paid a lot of people to vote yeah, but it was the right thing to do at the time. But it was because it benefited everybody.
Nobody knew it then, but it was big tobacco companies that got us into this in the first place. They hooked people on cigarettes with ads like this. Then in the 80s, Canada raised cigarette taxes through the roof. Cigarette executives panicked. But then they noticed that sales were actually going up on a Mohawk reserve.
Actually, it was started by 3 young guys. They used to just go to Aguesasne and buy packs of cigarettes, teenagers, and they came back here and sold it for $1 a piece. And it wasn't deemed illegal or anything because the guys used to put the cigarettes right in the back seat of their car. It would be full to the windows. And they'd cross the border and the border guard would let them go through. It was no problem at all. This was all the Morier, Export Ace, it was all of them. Imperial tobacco scene, all these cigarettes coming from Buffalo to Aguesasne. So they start sending more and more.
Pretty soon, the Canadian tobacco giants were sending billions of cigarettes directly to the reserves. And white people were lining up to buy them tax-free.
The record was probably about $300,000 in sales in one day. We said it's our right because we have no borders. In the treaties, the Jay Treaty and every treaty, we have no borders.
But they ended up in Canada.
Maybe to you they do. Maybe to people like you they do. But to people like me, nationalists of my country and my government, that word Canada to me is Ganada, a village.
Imperial, nothing happened to any of their executives. Actually, they just got fined $1 billion, but they learned they made $4 billion. So they didn't lose anything. Export Aid, or some of their executives even went to jail.
Name brand smuggling is pretty much shut down. But for the first time, us Mohawks had a fistful of cash, and we weren't about to give it up. If we couldn't get name brand smokes, we'd make our own. Today, there are more than 50 Mohawk cigarette factories going full steam in Quebec and in Ontario. The smugglers have become industrialists.
We're at the Las Vegas Convention Center for the release of our 3 export products, Savage brand cigarettes, Palm cigarettes, and Medina brand cigarettes for the international market. Check into the cost of importing from Canada.
Yes.
And then we'll make the price good so we can get it out there fast.
Let's start working hard.
Yeah. We're looking at Spanish market, Cyprus, Israel. There's already big interest from the Middle East. So there's a big distributor coming over to the booth. All they do is native tobacco products.
Who's a distributor? He'll come back guaranteed.
You could see a native company having a huge percentage of the North American market within the next 5 or 10 years. Wow. Some words of the magnitude of Imperial, Philip Morris, R.J. Reynolds.
These days, Rainbow Tobacco is in full swing. Robbie's gearing up for a major expansion to native communities out west.
In about 3 weeks, we're going to be having a retailer information session in Alberta. There's so much interest now for Deerfield and Wolfpack cigarettes. First Nations want to start selling now. Montana's setting up their retail location and small distribution center, and we're going to get this business going.
We have to create something that our young people can inherit. But in the state that we're in now, that's not really a pretty picture that I want to grab as a youth.
When we first got there, we witnessed a very weakened people, a people that had been intimidated and oppressed by the provincial government for I don't know how long. We got out there and we gave them some of our Mohawk strength. We reaffirmed their rights, that it is their right to deal in this industry. And we started to change their mentality a little bit.
Now it's time to try and create an actual economy. Tobacco will be a big part of
it. See, what you do? What you do? What you do? Say cheese. Not gonna say cheese? Huh.
Cheese.
Cheese.
I guess on the ethical side, tobacco trade's been there for hundreds of years, but it's something that kills people when they smoke. I've always wanted my kids to be proud of what I was doing.
I've seen too many of my friends get chased by the cops, hurt, even killed. It's a rough business. I'm 43 now. I want to start a new business and make my kids proud.
Today we've got a double bill, so to speak. We're going to start off our first portion of Dead Watalo today with discussion revolving around Mohawk Sun, a solar panel assembly plant.
Mohawk Sun is 100% native-owned company, and we plan on manufacturing solar panels here on the island. We're looking for community support to persuade Mohawk Council of Akwesasne to get a loan guarantee from them so we can get our funding.
You want me to sign it? What am I signing? Let me read it first. Green energy, right? That's what it is. Why not? I wouldn't mind checking that, working in that plant. I already told them that. Good to go. You know, put your name on this petition. Oh, you got a lot of signatures, eh?
We'll listen to you on the radio this morning, and we'll really find out.
Ryan, when you don't go, okay?
Keep going.
I do that all the time. Just be silent when you go, then say what you got to say.
Lots of jobs available. translates into over $3 million in salary wages a year.
It's the Indian way, huh? We were taught that use the gifts of the Creator, and that just happens to be one of the biggest gifts we can get from the Creator, the sunlight. Everything uses it. And now we can use it to make power, make electricity, make us money. It's even easier than smuggling cigarettes.
Us natives would have no problem working on solar panels. But for now, cigarette factories are all we got going. Here at Six Nations, just a few hours outside of Toronto, natives like Rob Hill are really proud to be working. And they're also proud of the cigarettes they manufacture.
I've seen a lot of tobacco in my day, and we use the best of what we can find. Smells absolutely gorgeous. A lot of dark reds, browns, some blondes in there. A good Canadian blend. In the making room, we're shooting for optimal humidity and climate control. It's a little loud. Come on in. That's the hopper. Feed your bulk tobacco in. It gets transferred through air channels, vacuum flow, into the filter attachment, where they're basically rolled. Quality control happens right there at the machine, manually, just for the catchers, manually putting the cigarettes into the trays, and that's our finished product. Our employees are there at work every day. They're happy to do their job. They enjoy our work atmosphere back there, partly because they work with their friend up the road. They work with their cousin. We work all with First Nations people. You know, it's all friends, acquaintances. Everybody knows everybody somehow. For First Nations people in this day and age, that's a comforting thought.
So 201.25.
How many customers go through here in a day?
On a good day, I'd say probably 500 plus. Yeah. On a really good day, almost 1,000, I'd say. It's almost chaotic. Eh? Yeah, I sure appreciate my days off.
The tobacco business is good for jobs, but the workers know there's no guarantees. Their jobs can disappear at any time. That's because most native factories operate without tax licenses, and the RCMP is always trying to shut us down.
We feel that if we can focus on the supply network, and by cutting off the supplies going to the factories, and by cutting off the product coming out, then we're going to have some success. And I think what's happening is we are having some success.
Bravo 2 to command post. The vehicle, the white caravan, does have contraband inside. I believe we have a second van on this location in the garage loaded with contraband as well. We'll need another tow.
When a delivery leaves the reserve, there's always a risk that it'll be seized.
They can't answer us now why it's legal to manufacture in Kahnawake, why it's legal to manufacture in Six Nations. We have treaty rights that make us that we can do commerce amongst each other. How can they answer? They haven't answered that question why I can't bring products from our brothers in Kahnawake to our brothers in Six Nations and vice versa without being hindered.
But if they were moccasins, they'd let them go.
Until everybody start wearing moccasins.
Yeah.
And then once everybody all wore moccasins, now it's going to be, now you're all criminals again. Yeah, moccasin money's making it to Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda guys are wearing moccasins.
And the whole thing is, it's not really an issue of the tobacco trade from the government standpoint. It's not. The government is a business just like any other. And the whole reasoning behind their negative outlook on the tobacco trade is because they don't get a piece of the pie. And that essentially is the basis of our business, because we operate on sovereign territory. We are First Nations people. And there are treaties in place where we're not subject to tax.
But if you think about it, they are getting their piece of the pie, because for the more that this economy generates within our own, that's the less people that are on welfare that they don't have to send money down for.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to look at like their actual tax dollars that they're saving from this economy, as opposed to looking at what they're not getting from this economy, then I think that it would pretty well balance out.
How's it running, Chad? Good?
Robbie's attitude about paying tax is different from the other smoke traders.
Well, I'd start to look at my business in a sustainable sense. And I knew Rainbow had their license. And I really wanted to get into a licensed factory. I look at my license as more of a partnership with the federal government. And because a large portion of my business comes from selling to non-natives, I feel that paying the tax, the excise, federal excise tax, is just me giving the federal government their cut for making profit off of their citizens.
But even as Robbie puts the final tax seals on over $7 million worth of product destined for Western Canada, trouble is brewing.
I was on the phone with the Saskatchewan Ministry of Revenue, and I asked them, how do I go about distributing my product? And they said, oh, there's an application on our website for a distribution license. And I said, is that a provincial distribution license? And he said, yeah. And I said, I don't need that. I said, the province has no jurisdiction on First Nations territories. The gentleman said, well, I guess that's where our conversation's gonna end. And I said, yeah, that's where it's ending. And then he responded by saying, yeah, we'll see about that.
It's our birthright to be doing it.
Yeah.
It becomes contraband when people from outside the territories pick it up, and then they have to, because that's the rules they live in.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we being criminalized?
Yeah. I've stated, I don't know how many times, I will not set foot in provincial courts. I don't recognize provincial courts. They have no jurisdiction on our territories. If they charge me provincially, I don't recognize their charges because they have no jurisdiction or rights over us. 110 a minute right now? Are you up full speed right now?
No.
No?
It's running 112.
This is going to be the new Mohawk Sun solar panel manufacturing plant, using the power of the father to protect the gifts of the mother. I like that saying. That's cool.
5 minutes from Brian's house, there's this huge warehouse sitting there doing nothing. The rent's cheap, and it would be perfect for Brian's state-of-the-art solar panel facility like this one in Europe.
Over there, we're going to put the line. That's where the raw materials come in. We're trying to decide between 4 and 5 shifts because we're going to be running 24/7. In total, we should have 118 employees when the factory ramps up to full operation.
And Brian will be head of it all.
Looking good, huh? It's quite a few jobs. Just a little over $3 million a year in wages.
How does that differ from the tobacco business?
Big time. Don't have to worry about nobody going to jail.
Brian's trying to get to Toronto for a big energy conference, but he barely has enough money for the gas.
Let's go.
At times like this, it's tempting to go back to running smokes.
Man, that's heavy. Come here, Ella. Pass it up. Come on. Yeah. Get in there. Get off of him. Ella, you're standing on him. First, gotta drop off the puppy and the baby at Duda's. Say good, Duda.
You're off to Toronto, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Here, come here, feed him.
All right, gotta go.
Wash out, John.
Been saving every cent, dude. From doing construction and odd jobs around the house. Helping my mother rebuild her house. Save all my money. Spend it all at one conference. That's the hard way of making money. Could have loaded up the truck in a 5-minute ride and could have made $1,000. Can't be getting in trouble. If it was this truck, we'd just throw it in the back and throw a blanket over it, drive it right through the customs.
They ask us where we're coming from. We're coming from the island, and they can't stop us. We're in Canada already. We're not coming from the States, so they can't. They got no legal grounds to stop us and harass us or nothing. The only thing, though, you got a waiting line on a bridge. Holy, that's a cutie.
Where are you coming from?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
See, no problem. Just go right through. They can't stop us. We would have had a load of cigarettes, would have just made $1,000.
I'm trying to save my soul.
We're in downtown Toronto and heading to the OSEA conference. I've had coming to beg for $4 million. They'll give it to me.
Why?
Because I got a cute smile and a coffee. I swear, everybody wears black around here.
What are you attending? The Power Networking Center or the conference? Or both?
Both.
Both. Perfect. I like that.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi.
Hi, Brian. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
He
Good.
emailed me, and I emailed him back
Oh
all
yeah,
this
that's
information.
right. Right, I know, and I looked at the email. Perfect. Good. I'm glad to meet you
He
here.
wants to get into solar manufacturing.
I understand.
Yeah.
I read
and
the
funding
email.
and startups.
We weren't able to get back to you right away because of this, so we're kind of running. But good. Thank you very much.
A busy card.
Yes. Good. Oh, great. Good. So are you still out of? Are you still out of?
No, I left Lamprey College in 2000.
Just checking to see what you are involved in. And
So GEMCO is a group of companies, various different areas that we can involved with. We have talked to a number of companies that are looking to relocate or looking for someone to do co-manufacturing for them.
so that would be kind of like me, too.
Sure. I'll hand you my card.
All right.
Okay.
Yep,
Very good.
thanks.
Thank you very much.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
How's it work?
All the lights over this whole entire area is getting concentrated onto a cell.
So what's your cost per watt?
It's very difficult to say.
You look like you're a little further ahead than me.
If you were making panels, even without a contract, you would be selling them.
Most of the finance companies won't come onto the reservations where...
I can help with that. Because I've met a couple of other you guys, not you specifically, but you know, these factory type franchising that you're looking for, and you're the only one that I've pushed a card on.
Good,
All
thanks.
right, so,
Thanks a lot. My new friend Sean from Lockheed Martin, guys that bring you the missiles and battleships. Mr. Duguid. Hi.
How you doing?
Not too bad.
Walk with us, Brian, because we're on our way out here.
Okay. Brian White. I'm working on getting a solar panel manufacturing plant in Akwesasne.
Awesome. I'm looking at trying to improve some of those programs as well. So then you've got the loan guarantee program. That's really for at the end of the day when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need any help, call my office. We'll make sure that you're connected up with the OPA and all the people that can help you out.
Okay.
All right. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right.
Spending every penny I had just to get here, just to meet these people. Not every day you get to meet the Minister of Energy. It's really starting to look like it's going to work really soon.
Rainbow Tobacco completed their $7 million production run. But before shipping to Alberta, Robbie wanted to double-check with the Canadian government.
I have a policy number here.
They assured him his shipment followed tax regulations, as long as the final destination was native territory. A week later, the cigarettes arrived safely in Alberta. They were stored in a warehouse on the native reserve. But when a few local kids broke in and made off with some of the product, the whole plan turned into a huge mess.
We had to report the theft of that product, report it to the RCMP. When they got into the building and they seen all the products, I guess that's when the red flags went up.
The chief of Montana First Nation is one of 4 people facing charges tonight in connection to millions of seized cigarettes, in the largest seizure in provincial history.
Since no Alberta taxes had been paid on the cigarettes, the RCMP seized the whole delivery.
Also facing charges, the Quebec man who supplied the cigarettes, Rob Dixon, who claims he is licensed through the federal government to do so.
We didn't expect any interference from the provincial government. They're legally only allowed to hold our cigarettes for 3 months without charging us. And they haven't laid any charges yet. I don't think they can legally. I don't think there's anything legally they can charge us with. What, selling legal cigarettes on a First Nation reserve?
You went a step further and went with your federal license and pay your federal taxes, and you're still getting screwed over.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how they could legally justify almost shutting down my company and putting 20 First Nation people out of work. Pretty sure we could have taken 25% of the cigarette market in all of Alberta within the first 2 years. You're probably looking at easily $10 million a week. How many calls do you get a day from people that are asking if they're going to come back to work?
It's not calls, they come here, you know?
Wondering when our production's going to start back.
Brian left Toronto on a high note.
It's very good when you are in a desert and you have...
But months later, he was stuck in a bunch of slow meetings and a pile of red tape. He's got endless government forms to complete and no money to pay his bills.
How's the solar project going?
Ever so slowly. Goes any slower, to be going backwards. We had meetings with Ministry of Revenue, the Ministry of Indian Affairs. We had to give them the business plan that would include all our expansion projects and stuff over the next couple years. The light on there is solar powered. So the Osprey are using the power of the sun. The whole world is going to it, so they can't say no. There's the last car. The junkie car. We're gonna sell it and make some money. Because we don't do cigarettes no more. They get you in trouble. Are you getting cold?
No.
Itchy? Gonna go pee?
Yeah.
Back home in Kahnawake, smoke traders like Queenie are feeling the effects of police activity. They're seizing tobacco shipments all over the place. Her garage has never been so clean in a long time.
The last time you came, that was different stock. This is new stock, and that's what I have left. So I guess when people want this product, the way I heard, I'm the only one that has it. I don't know what's going to happen in a few months or maybe even next year. Who knows?
We don't
the way
know.
the government's trying to close everybody down and everything, we don't know what's going to happen.
No.
So.
It's a day-by-day thing.
Yeah.
Product lost, just the production costs were close to $2 million, so that's lost. And legally, probably another $250,000. So it's a lot of money. We've tried to get meetings with the head of CCRA in Ottawa, and they won't give us a meeting. All right. It's pretty frustrating.
I guess we're conditioned in such a way, don't disturb anything or else, and right there, you know, you back off.
They don't know their rights out west. When they raided in '88 for cigarettes, we were nationwide on the news. And they seen the way we stood up against it. You figure people would have said, look, let's do, you know, have an uprising against the government. So we did it here. We had 1990. We had Caledonia. Why is it always the Mohawks that got to set a precedent, you know?
One of the reasons that us Mohawks have been so successful in the cigarette trade, we don't hesitate to defend our rights in our territory, even with the use of force.
They were trying to force us, so we had to tell them, you know, with arms that we're not going to pay. If you came on the reserve, well, it was our duty to get you off. You know, we didn't want anybody passing. There wasn't a non-native that would pass the street in this town.
The RCMP invading a sovereign Mohawk territory, the resistance here would be awesome. I think the people have really enjoyed prosperity for a long enough time, and they have learned the lessons of Oka.
You know, at this point, I'm not even worried about recovering my losses. 5, 6, 7, 8. We got to stand strong in our sovereignty and our inherent right. The losses are adding up. It seems like they're trying to bleed us, hoping that we'll just fall away. But it's not going to happen.
I'm being easy to you today, man. This is it's a little gift.
Bullshit. It's not even about the cigarettes anymore. It's more about the sovereign right of our people.
Why not stop people at the border of the community, open the trunks, take the cigarettes, or if they're prepared to pay a duty, let them pay the taxes, let them pay the duty, and go home. That would effectively undermine the profit margin, right? Because the people who are actually the willing consumers would be paying the same or possibly more. But the government won't do that, because if they recognize that there is, in fact, a boundary that separates the Mohawk Nation from the Canadian nation, then they set a precedent they may not be able to deal with. And so much of what our government does in its interactions with Aboriginal people and Aboriginal communities in this country is defined by a fear of setting a precedent that they can't live with.
Just push the little button right here.
Probably is up to his eyeballs in lawsuits in Alberta. But he still won't stop moving his brand into other Western reserves.
First time. Manitoba, Dakotas.
People here have almost no work at all. They too look at the cigarette trade as a way out of poverty.
These are duty-paid bags, legal on First Nation territory.
All right. What about our territory?
You guys smoke Deerfields yet?
I haven't smoked for 8 years.
Oh, no.
We're gonna have some here and then we'll pass those ones away.
Yeah, that's it.
Just in case.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's a good idea.
2 acres, the store, the house, the garage, and I'm valuing it at $1 million.
Wow.
And I'm gonna use it for collateral for a loan guarantee with the council, because that's the only way it can move anyways. It can't.
Yeah, you gotta have something to.
Yeah. So what I'm asking, I guess, is it all right that I use it?
Oh. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, we need a.
But we gotta make sure we don't lose that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
No, just give me the whole. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Have a good day, guys. Yeah.
This is a very small step in establishing a better future for our people.
Thank you very much.
Any kind of talk. Thank you. And who in the right mind would stop people from trying to create revenue?
Is this where you buy them?
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Yeah.
You want to replace what is termed an illegal economy into a legal economy?
What's that?
This is one solid opportunity. We've been pressuring the federal government, and they're saying, just wait, and we'll find different avenues.
Everybody gets into money with the business and they open a business. Here's one. It's called, it's a convenience store. They sell whatever. This one here, he was into cigarettes, so he purchased a Shell gas station.
When we used to go to a store, you come in the store and they follow you because they think you're gonna rob something, you're gonna shoplift. But today you go in there and they're, hi, can I help you?
When you fight the government, you're always outgunned, but we believe we're right, and that's why we're gonna fight till the end on this one. If it's gonna take me to stand up for this sovereign right that we have, then I'm gonna do it.
Then we have Hot Spots. That's cigarette owned too. Mexican place,
Our
tacos.
funeral home, where we don't really want to go when we don't know where we're going when we die.
Rainbow Tobacco Golf Day, we do it once a year. Just for the morale of the company, get everybody together. Oh my God. I guess the pressure got to me.
Canada is the most taxed country in the world, so they're not gonna honor tax agreements with the Indians. You gotta tell the Prime Minister that. The Queen, that's who we gotta tell. Where is she?
Oh. Bite! Look at that kick. What the hell is that?
The government, they started their... It's a guy for cigarettes. Hello?
Last.
all the cigarettes exported in, that they're all manufactured in a plant. Well, we have plants too, but we don't have the sprayers. We don't add the poisons. We don't add the toxins. So that's another thing. You're getting straight tobacco. There's no poison in it.
Bastard. Son of a bitch. Fuck. We should challenge Imperial Tobacco to a golf match. Winner take the country.